The Breathless Riviera Resort and Spa had a ton of food and drink options. So in this video, I'm going to review all of the different restaurants and options that they had and what were some of my favorites and some of my least favorites. This is the last video of a series of videos that I've done on this resort, so make sure you check them out, especially the complete review that we did on this resort. Let's start with breakfast. The main option is at the Spoon Buffet, which is open from 7 a.m. until noon. And really, they had everything and anything that you would want in a breakfast buffet. It was a little bit more limited compared to some of the other resorts that I've been to. But again, they did have almost anything and everything that you would want. They had a made-to-order omelet station. They also had someone making fresh tortillas. So they have a really wide variety of Mexican dishes for breakfast as well, something they're actually known for. Then also the traditional American breakfast, pancakes, waffles, fruit. They had pastries and breads. They had other egg dishes and sausage and bacon, and really a wide variety. If you would need breakfast before 7 a.m., you can schedule room service. So they do have room service 24 hours free to everybody that is staying there. You do not have to upgrade to get room service. So we did schedule this because we were going on an excursion. But even if you are not going on an excursion, I highly recommend doing the room service because it was really good. And since you schedule it the night before, it comes right on time. You don't have to order it and then wait an hour or so for it to come. They do have an a la carte option as well at the Picante restaurant, but it's only for Xhale Club members. And it was actually my least favorite meal that we had there. So you're not missing anything if you didn't upgrade. In fact, the room service was a lot better than the a la carte breakfast. And lastly, they have Nook, which is their coffee cafe, which obviously they have lots of different coffee drinks. They do have pastries and snacks. Now on the website, it says it's open 24 hours. So I don't know if that's true anymore, if they adjusted the hours with COVID, but regardless, they have really good coffee. It does get a little busy in the morning, but it really is worth trying when you're there. And lastly, if you upgraded to the Xhale Club, you have access to the Xhale Club Lounge, which does serve a very light breakfast in the morning starting at 7 a.m. as well. Now moving on to lunch, they have lots of different lunch options, and really you could find food almost everywhere and anywhere at this resort. The main buffet Spoon is the most popular option for lunch, and just like the breakfast buffet, they have standard options and they do try to change it out daily. They have made to order burgers and just the basics that you would expect from a lunch buffet. One option we did not get to try, so I can't speak to it, was called Bites, which offered international tapas over by the activity pool. And I love when a resort has a poolside grill, and this one had one. It was called the Barefoot Grill, where they made-to-order pizzas and burgers, fries, wings, typical grill options. And you could also do room service in your room for lunch if you wanted to. We only had it for breakfast, but it is available 24 hours. For dinner, they had mostly a la carte options. However, they did have one buffet. It was not in the Spoon main buffet though. It was over kind of on the side. It was like a taco bar. I'm not sure if they did it every single night. We did not eat there, but I did see it set up several nights that we were there. For the a la carte restaurants, you cannot make reservations, so you have to put your name on a list and wait. Sometimes it was 30 minutes, sometimes it was an hour. They do offer one reservation if you've upgraded to the Xhale Club, but honestly, I could never figure out how to do it because it was only during certain times. So we just ended up taking our chances and getting on the list. We were only there 3 nights, so we didn't get to try all of the different a la carte restaurants. But the first night we went to the Mexican restaurant, and I think that was my favorite out of all of the ones that we tried. All the food seemed fresh and cooked to order, except for the guacamole. That was my only little complaint. I think if you're in Mexico, you should have fresh guacamole, but it was really good. I also want to note that the service was excellent at this resort. This is one thing that stood out, and all of the servers that we had throughout our stay were really attentive. The second night we went to Spumante, which was the Italian restaurant. And actually it was our least favorite, which I was a little disappointed because usually the Italian restaurants are one of the best. The service was great, but just the dishes that we ordered, which was just traditional pasta dishes, were not that great. But one of the benefits of being in an all-inclusive, if you don't like something there, you can just go to a different restaurant or order room service if you wanted to. The final night we were there, we went to the steakhouse. Now this was the hardest one to get a table at. It took over an hour once we put our names on the list because it is the most popular, but really, really good. As you can see, they cook everything right there. And we were not that hungry because earlier we had gone on an excursion and then eaten in Playa del Carmen, but the food that we got was really, really good, even the starters. The two restaurants that we did not get to was Coquette, which is the French restaurant, and then Silk City, which is the hibachi restaurant. So I can't speak to them, but my suggestion is to go on TripAdvisor and you can find out a lot, not only about the resort, but the restaurants. A lot of people do write about the food. And just kind of being honest, I personally am not a foodie. I really don't care too much about the food when I visit an all-inclusive resort. Maybe that's why I love all-inclusive resorts so much, because if there's something I don't like, I can just get something at the buffet or have room service. So the food is not that important to me. However, for most people, the food is the priority. So that's why I'm saying just do your research, because if you're not going to be there long enough to try all of the restaurants, then you will want to plan to see which one you think you might like the best. Now let's move on to the bars and the drinks, which are a priority for me. So thankfully, there was no shortage of bars or drinks or cocktails at this resort. They don't have a lobby bar per se, but they do have two kind of main bars that I would call them. The first one is Wink, which is over in what they refer to as the energy zone, which is downstairs from when you check in. And that's where kind of all of the action takes place at night, where they have the DJ, they have some shows. And the second kind of main bar is actually called the Bar, which is over by the energy pool. In terms of type of cocktails, they really do have everything. I stuck to vodka this time, but you could order almost everything. The bartenders were very knowledgeable and knew how to make a lot of different drinks. And they do have two swim-up bars, so each pool has its own swim-up bar. And the bartenders work their tails off at this entire resort. From the second they open until they leave, they are mixing drinks. They never stop. The blender's going. And there really are a wide selection of drinks. Pretty much anything and everything that you would want, they can make. I actually stuck to vodka this trip. I've learned to stick to one alcohol when I'm on vacation so I don't get sick. And their selection was absolute. Now, if you upgrade to the Xhale Club, you were supposed to have access to a higher selection of liquor, and that wasn't the case for vodka. I'm not sure for the other liquors. But regardless, they had a pretty good selection, I think, for every type of liquor, no matter what you were drinking. They had another bar that was seaside. It was called the Foam Bar, which was over by the energy pool. And that also had seating, so if you wanted to sit down. They did have some light bites too. They don't advertise it on their website, but one day they were making pizza, and then another day they were making a roast of some type. I didn't see, but they have some light bites as well there. At night, they also had two additional bars. One was called Showstopper, which was in the theater section. So if you were going to watch a show, they had a whole bar there. Now, next door, they do have an after dark nightclub, but it was not open when we were there. So it's only open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And of course, we were there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So, but when it's open, they also have a bar in the nightclub. For an additional charge, they have a champagne bar, which is over at the party pool. So they have a whole champagne bar that you can buy bottles of champagne. You can also buy bottles of liquor. Now, if you upgrade to the Xhale Club, you do get a ticket for one free bottle of champagne. And if you upgrade, you also get a full-size bottle of vodka in your room, and then you get two mini-size liquor bottles. Make sure you watch the other video I did too about upgrading to the Xhale Club if you're considering it, just so you know all the positives and negatives associated with that. And then finally, they have the Xhale Club Lounge, which I mentioned earlier, which has its own separate bar. And it is supposed to have a selection of premium liquors that you cannot get in the other bars. But like I mentioned earlier, we were drinking vodka, and it had the same vodka in the Xhale Club Lounge that it did everywhere else at the resort. Bottom line is that there was a bar almost everywhere you went on this resort. There was no shortage of alcohol for sure. And the bartenders were among the best I've had at any resort. They were pumping out those drinks. The service was excellent and they were very knowledgeable as well. And they also have servers that come to you whether you're sitting at the pool or the beach. So you can just order there, they will go get your drinks and bring it right to you. Overall, we gave the food and drinks an 8 out of 10 in our other review. So there were a lot of positives. I would say the big negative was the restaurant at night, the Italian restaurant, and the other two we didn't get to rate. Also, the fact that the buffet wasn't as large as some of the other buffets I've been to, and that there was no oceanside restaurant. So one thing I love about a resort is when they have a restaurant right on the water. Now, if you stay over at the secret side, which is right next door, they have a beautiful restaurant that overlooks the beach. So I would recommend looking into that as well because it's a little bit higher end, but you get access to the entire Breathless Resort. So you can have some quiet time, but then you can come over and party at Breathless. I hope you found this review of the food and drinks at the Breathless Riviera Resort and Spa helpful. And again, make sure you watch all of the other videos that we did on this resort if you're considering going there. And most of all, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already so we can keep bringing you real, honest, to-the-point reviews about travel destinations that we go to. And I do respond to all comments and questions, so if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments section below.
Tres noches. Tres noches.